Hi, I'm Robert Doty. I'm angry and I'm concerned. America, let's protect our children. When Columbine happened, it was a tragedy beyond comprehension. And for many years, as we healed from that heartbreaking event, we looked back on it as an anomaly. Well, it wasn't. It was just the beginning. And today we have school shootings almost weekly. How did this horrible trend begin, and how do we end it? The simple answer is that we need more gun control and we need more security for our schools. Now, before you get the wrong impression, I'm not a tree-hugging, ultra-conservative, anti-gun crusader. I believe wholeheartedly in the right of the people to keep and bear arms. I also think you should stand for the national anthem. Thanks to pressure from the gun lobby, our government has decided that we should flood the country with guns. And when every citizen has multiple guns laying around, guess what? Bad things are bound to happen. The courts have also been influenced by the strong gun lobbies, and in their blindness to reality and liberal interpretation of the Constitution to an extreme, has created the monstrous hell that we are living in today. I used to be a card-carrying member of the NRA. I also used to be a registered Republican. Now I'm neither, by choice. I'm a patriot that is shocked at the direction this country is headed. I am an American. Are you? The gun lobby, the NRA, and all the gun manufacturers has paid millions and millions of dollars to influence our politicians, who then craft the laws to suit the agenda of the NRA. The NRA and gun manufacturers have our politicians in their back pockets, and our children are paying the price. President Trump was voted into office, in spite of his low moral character, on a platform of change. Changes that this country needs. And one of his promises was to drain the swamp. Now, I'm not going to debate the pros and cons of Donald Trump. Trust me, he wouldn't be in my circle of friends if I were a billionaire. He was elected, he's there, he's making positive changes, and I say, deal with it. There are a lot of congressmen and women, Democrat and Republican, who fear Trump because they know they are the swamp. Here's something to consider. The latest polls show America's confidence in Congress running at less than 10%. It's time to drain the swamp. Let's be realistic about this. The swamp doesn't favor any political party. Their incompetence and influence by wealthy donors and lobbyists have hurt us all, Democrat and Republican alike. The only way that the swamp is going to get drained is if all of us, Democrat and Republican and Independent, demand change, and demand it now. Forget our stupid political differences, and together we can make a difference. If you care about our children, then man up. Get over the petty, childish bickering and join together. We used to be a country unified, but thanks to the media and the activists, we're divided. Let's quit acting like children and instead protect our children. In April 1999, the worst school shooting occurred at Columbine High School in Colorado, less than 5 miles from me. 13 children were slaughtered and another 20 were injured. At that time, 18 years ago, politicians in Washington swore they would make changes to ensure that nothing like that would ever happen again. Then the NRA lobbyist money began to flow in. In 18 years, not one significant law has been passed to prevent another school shooting. Not one. But they have removed most restrictions on gun ownership. Thank you, NRA and gun manufacturer lobbies. Since Columbine, there have been 25 fatal school shootings in America. 25, and not one significant law. In this year alone, barely 2 months, there have already been 8 school shootings. 8! What is the swamp doing to change this? How many times do you have to hear a politician say, "My thoughts and prayers are with the victims," before you get the message? It's just a few words to get them off the hook, and that's the end of it. And they go back to business as usual, accepting donations from the NRA and all the gun manufacturer lobbyists. And what does all that lobbyist money purchase? More liberal gun laws? More firepower? Millions more guns in millions of homes? And the NRA wants even more. Congress is about to remove restrictions on silencers because the NRA argues that it would reduce the risk of hearing damage. And that's BS. There's more hearing damage done by continually listening to loud music. And the vast majority of gun owners, myself included, already have effective hearing protectors. If Nicholas Cruz had had a silencer, just imagine how many more he could have killed before anyone noticed. It could have eclipsed Columbine by a massive amount of deaths. Schools are especially at risk with a silencer on a gun. And eliminating bump stocks, frankly, those were going to be banned anyway. So that's just a convenient political plum to quiet us down. We need changes to our laws, and we need them now, not another 18 years in the future. We, Democrats and Republicans, and everybody in this great country of America. Yes, America, where we can legally desecrate the flag and ban our most sacred elements, which our democracy was founded upon. We, white, black, Hispanic, and Asian, need to rise up and demand that Congress become a representative of the people and change things for the better. This is not a time to be racially divided. This is a time to protect our heritage, protect our flag, protect our borders, and most of all, protect our children. Here's some sobering numbers. Since 1950, there have been 493 school-related deaths. In the last 27 years alone, 350 children and adults have died in school-related shootings. The obvious first step, in fact the most urgent step, is to protect our schools from entry by anyone carrying a firearm, even a knife. Our schools need the same security that we have to live with in airports. It's a sad commentary on our times, but it's true. Our schools, every single one of them, from kindergarten through college, need to have some form of metal detection for starters. Frankly, that's a no-brainer. It's not rocket science. Basic metal detectors in every school is doable. And yet not one congressman is willing to push for that. Sure, it's expensive and unaffordable for many schools, but it's the first line of defense, and a very effective one. But how do you pay for that? I'm sure it would run into the billions. Well, it's very simple. Our elected Congress, who hasn't done anything but sit on their asses and reap the rewards of their lofty positions, needs to pass a law requiring a minimum tax of 20% on every gun, box of ammo, and gun accessories sold within our borders. 100% of those taxes should go to installing metal detectors at all schools in this country. Not enough money? We need to impose a hefty tax on the profits of every gun, ammo, and gun accessory manufacturer and their lobbying organizations. If the NRA and the manufacturers want to flood this country with more guns than are reasonably practical, then let them pay the price. Let them carry the load of all this carnage. In fact, They should be held accountable for the expense of burying the dead and the medical expense of all the wounded, and compensation for the families. For example, some deranged student kills another student on school property using a Smith & Wesson firearm. Then Smith & Wesson should be legally held liable for the expense. In addition, we need to implement mandatory background checks on every gun purchaser. We need to increase the time from application to approval to 30 days to allow more time for law enforcement to do their due diligence. We need to raise the age limit for gun purchasers. We need to ban assault weapons. We need to legally and forever ban silencers. We need to ban large capacity magazines. We need to implement foolproof electronic biometric safeties on all new guns. And we need to require an annual inventory of registered firearms for every owner, so they're held accountable for ensuring they still have the weapons that are registered to them. Unnecessary and a waste of time? Tell that to the parents of the children killed at Columbine. An infringement of my Second Amendment rights? Tell that to the parents of the children killed last month. We need to stop this madness, and we need to demand that Congress act once and for all in the interest of the people that they are supposedly elected to serve. Demand an accounting of each and every politician and the amount of NRA donations that influences their votes. And if they don't take quick and effective action that stops these senseless shootings, then we need to get rid of them. If they won't protect our children, then we need to step up and make it happen. We need to drain the swamp. Now, let me be clear. All those proposed changes in the law won't stop the killings. It will only slow the proliferation of guns into our society. The billions of guns already there aren't going to go away. The only way to effectively protect our children in schools is to improve their security by installing walk-through metal detectors, the cost of which could be as low as $2,000 apiece. Not a big price to pay. If you're a card-carrying NRA member who thinks I'm the enemy, you need to think again. I recognize your passion for the Second Amendment, but don't be blinded by the agenda of the NRA. The safety of our children must come first. America, there were times in the past, historical events, when the citizens of this great country brought about great change for the benefit of us all. Against the will of the government, we demanded civil rights, and we demanded withdrawal from the Vietnam War. Now is the time for America to march upon Washington, this time for our children. Don't let Washington sweep this one under the rug. Stand up for our children. Organize and march to let Washington and the NRA know that enough is enough, that we want results, real results, not words or promises, but results. And we want that swamp drained. Here's one last thought. Ask the parents of each of these slain children what their stance on gun control is. Then ask them what it used to be. Thank you.